Ragavan, and welcome back to another Era Queen Caledron video. We are getting ready for our annual Council of the Wise event, and this year we have a very exciting, very special announcement.
Profile competition.
Somebody likes to play with custom profiles, and somebody else likes to build the conversions for them, and we just like to play and have some fun. This hobby is amazing. There's so much room in this hobby to make it your own. So this year, we're back with our custom profile competition. His idea, he gets the credit for it. I helped him make it work, but it was a lot of him. So we have a fancy form which you can download off of the OSBGL website. It's going to be posted in the files section. We could probably put a link in the video, right?
Yep.
Not be a very hard thing to do. It's a standard form that we put together. We based it on the profiles in Games Workshop. You might even want to show it in the video. I'll leave it up to you. But we thought for the point of the competition, for this video, we'll go through the form and explain it to you. And then what's going to happen is, we saw this in our other video before, we've got some really exciting judges internationally who are going to help participate in this competition. We've got, from DCHL,
Devin Marino,
who we're privileged to call a friend, amazing guy, and we've known him for a while. And he's got so much to say about this hobby. His channel is an amazing channel, lots of great stuff you can learn if you go watch the DCHL YouTube channel. There's just a ton of different stuff in there, especially the army reviews. The what's he called them? Light in the Dark.
Yep.
Great series, really great series.
That's not all he does. He
does lots of good stuff.
That's his overarching series. So like everything happens in that series.
That's a great one. And we've got two others, Australian guys.
Yeah, Jeremy Hunter.
Brilliant. The Green Dragon podcast. This guy is like the godfather of the hobby for us.
Oh, I know.
Yep, he's been around for longer than we have. Not, you know what? He's younger than I am, but way more experienced at this and has tons of great things to say. And their podcast is amazing. If you haven't checked it out, go check out the Green Dragon podcast. You will definitely learn it and you'll enjoy it. Lots of great stuff there. And
Zorpazorp.
Mr. Lachlan with lots of other names. Lachlan is brilliant, has jumped into this hobby deep and is a fantastic guy. And between the three of these judges, they've got some deep perspective to offer. And we are excited to be able to put in front of them a pile of your ideas, custom profiles that you guys come up with. So we're going to give you a form because it just makes it easier for you and for them and for everybody involved. So we'll give you the form. The form has blanks you can fill in. You want to say something?
Oh, no, this is completely unrelated. I'm scatterbrained right now. I just realized that I have enough hair for the both of us.
Because that's deep and important right now. That is deep. So see how deep that mess is?
Okay, well, don't.
So we made this form, and the form is based on the GW profile template. If you take a look through their books, they have this template that they follow. Really useful template. It works very, very well. So we've copied that template and filled it in differently, put blanks in there and set it all up. So you start with your name across your profile name for the character that you're creating a profile for. One that I created, the Blue Wizards, Alatar and Palando.
Oh, that was a group effort.
Who had that?
I'm not
I made for that. I made the name, and I made some of the ideas.
You made the name.
That's kind of it, though. And then we worked on the rest of it together. And actually, they're kind of a 5-year work in progress. They've been maturing over time.
They've been getting changed.
Lots of good feedback. Year. We try stuff and find out why it's broken and it doesn't really work, and people give us feedback and we fix it. So we made the Blue Wizards. Alatar and Palando, we'll make those available for download as well.
And they are viable profiles. You can actually play at Council.
They work. They work. We will let you play them at Council, otherwise you probably can't play them anywhere else. They're unofficial, but we add them to our event because it's our event. We can do that.
Yep.
And they're balanced. We've worked really hard to make them balanced. They cost enough points. You're not just going to throw them in randomly. They're great at some things. They're really not great at other things. So
I can speak to that. I've played them multiple times.
They work great. They're fun. Then, after the name, you have to put in the GW keywords.
Yeah.
Look through the other profiles in the other books. They'll give you lots of ideas of how to do this.
Now, this is actually fairly logical. If it's a man, you write the race, like wherever he's from.
The race should be one of the keywords.
Gondor, if he's from Rohan, whatever, that's a keyword.
Yep.
If he's like a standard-sized dude, infantry. Like it's pretty straightforward.
Infantry, cavalry, monsters, pick one.
They only get the cavalry keyword if the mount is actually like unique, if that makes sense. So if you have to purchase a mount, or if a mount is included in part of your war gear, then you automatically get the cavalry keyword. You don't need to
when you include the war gear, right?
Which you wouldn't include that under the subscripts, because then they would just have that innately as part of their profile. So even when they're on foot, they would count as cavalry. So there are some little things. If you have questions or whatever, you can just shoot us a message.
And if you goof that up, there's some grace for that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it too much, or don't get too fussy. Big things you want to catch in the keywords. What are some keywords that you want to catch? Race, you already said. So if it's a man or an elf or a wizard or an orc or a
faction,
get that
is
in
the
there.
second one.
Faction. Yep. So if you're going to create a character that's part of a faction, because they may not be, the Blue Wizards are not part of a faction.
Yep.
Except that the Blue Wizards can ally into many factions. So we actually did. You could do this a couple different ways. Rather than create a new column in the allied table, we just listed them with a bunch of the keywords we thought were appropriate. So for example, Palando and Alatar snuck around through a bunch of the south and east, the far east and the far south of Middle Earth. So we actually added a bunch of those keywords into their profiles. And if you read the profile, you'll see why. And if you watch our video on the Blue Wizards, you'll hear why. But keywords, you're going to want to think about keywords that apply to, so race, faction are some meaningful keywords. Infantry may or may not be. What are some other ones?
Well, monster, obviously, which I've only ever seen one custom monster profile.
I've seen a couple.
But no, I mean, like in our competition, I've only ever seen one. Most people tend to do like their favorite character from the lore, which when it comes to epic named characters, we don't have very many monsters.
Most of them have been taken. GW's done a great job. So your goal is to find a gap.
Exactly.
In the lore, not in the game. So looking through the books, we'll give you some grace on the movies. Tariel shouldn't, whatever. She's valid.
She shouldn't exist.
Because the movie says she does. There's a bunch of characters that were added in the movies, which are fair game for this.
Yep.
If they're not in the game. If GW's already got them, then we don't want to see them in the competition. But if there's a different or unique profile that you want to add that is not in GW or is not well represented in GW.
Yeah, for example, the last time we ran this competition, I did actually win it. Fairly. But the
not
profile,
that he's proud of that, but he earned it.
I was happy. I have a trophy. But anyway, so the profile I actually made was for Glorfindel. Now, obviously, there was a Glorfindel in the game, but this was Glorfindel from Gondolin. Way back when
the Balrog killing
Glorfindel. This is the Glorfindel that killed the Balrog and fell off a cliff. So he didn't technically kill it. He just kind of knocked it off a cliff and it pulled him down with it. But whatever. Point is, he should be able to kill a Balrog. He
stood toe-to-toe with the Balrog. And GW's version of the Balrog and GW's version of the Glorfindel.
No comparison. So I made a Glorfindel that could fight a Balrog that was not utterly broken. And
it was actually really cool.
We actually played it as part of our... And we actually, that year, I forget what we called it, Challenge of Champions or whatever, something like that. So, like, in between rounds, we'd actually have these mini-boss battles.
It was really cool.
And
really fun.
We actually pitched my Glorfindel up against the Balrog. And
it worked.
It worked. He didn't kill it.
Big hint.
He didn't kill it.
Big hint. So, and this is valid for the competition. If you can find a gap in the lore that works like this, like Ecthelion, would be a really cool one.
I have a profile for Ecthelion.
Now, what he did, he took the Glorfindel profile and added the Spirit Bane rule.
That was one thing I did.
You didn't do much else, though.
I did two
Kept
things.
it very, very truthful to the Glorfindel character. What was the second thing?
The second thing, I gave him a special sword.
It was a Spirit Bane sword, wasn't it?
No, Spirit Bane was one of the rules in his profile. I guess.
All right, catch me up. Sword. Remind me. So Spirit Bane. Any of the Bane rules?
Master Forged before there was Master Forged.
That's what he did. Yeah. So
but it wasn't Master Forged.
So the Spirit Bane or any of the other Banes, if you have Man Bane or Orc Bane or fill in the blank Bane, if you have a Bane rule, then what it does is it buffs your ability to damage the rule,
the specific race,
any model with the keyword for which you have Bane.
So if you've got Orc Bane, updated. It was updated in the new edition. So when you have Bane, it's called X Bane in the actual rules pack. Basically, you gain terror and D3 wounds against whatever race X is.
The D3 wounds is the key thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I gave Glorfindel Spirit Bane, which back then...
It made sense.
Exactly. So he just did D3 wounds against spirits, and then I gave him a sword that said, I can't remember what it did. 5+ to wound.
Or something?
No, it was he never needs more than a 5+ to wound, which has very little impact on the standard game, like when he's fighting infantry and heroes and stuff like that.
Wounding them on 5s or 4s.
Unless he's fighting people that are like D7 and above.
Yep.
Which that's the big time. So if he goes against a D9 Balrog, where he would need 6s by 4s, which, how does that make sense if he was able to kill a Balrog?
Wounding on 5s and every wound counts as 3 wounds. He actually had a D3. Fighting chance. D3 wounds counts as D3. Then he actually had a fighting chance.
He never.
And of all the times that he fought the Balrog, there was one in our battles. There was one that he almost killed the Balrog. So it was exciting. It was fun.
Got it down to 2 wounds.
So custom profile. Find a gap in the lore. Find a character that's not represented in the game, or find a spin on a character. That's not well represented in the scenes that we have in the game, or the episodes that we have that you can play scenarios around in the game. For example, we used to have multiple. Well, last year? Probably not actually, because some of them might come back in. There were multiple versions of Elrond. There still are multiple Gandalfs. There's a reason for that. There were multiple Boromir's multiple Aragorns, son of Isildur, versus King Elisar. There are several profiles in the game where there are sort of iterations of the profile where the character matured through the course of the lore and they changed over time. So
Boromir,
you could
backwards progression.
So you could take, well, and because of course Boromir still has 2 profiles. He's still got the Fellowship version of Boromir, and we've got the Boromir of the White Tower. So if you find a character in the game who could have a progression like that, you could create a separate profile for one of the other stages that is not already represented in the game. So we'll leave that up to you. You've got to justify it in the lore, though, and there is a spot on the forum where you got to explain where your ideas came from in the lore. Then you can talk about special rules. This game is full of character rules, and that's part of the character of the game.
Yes.
And it really adds a lot to the game. So if you pick a special character, I'd love to give examples, but we can't.
Nope.
Maybe we give an example. I'll give one example from the Blue Wizards again, because that's fair game.
Fair enough.
Alatar Palando. You want to pick one?
Alatar.
Okay, which rule?
He's fun.
Yeah, which rule do you want to explain?
Trees.
The name Alatar means forest spreader.
It's so much fun, sir.
So yeah, it's a really cool rule too.
I have 1 game based on this rule. So basically, Alatar, forest spreader guy, he can spend a will point. Now this can be his free will point from his staff. He can spend a will point to spawn trees, like literally build terrain.
It's cool.
It's trees. So we have like limits on how big they are.
He's a Maiar. He was one of the creative beings that helped create the Middle Earth.
So we have limits on how
trees.
big they are, and there are restrictions on how many.
Yep.
I think it's D3. It's D3 trees within 6 inches, I think, of him. I'm pretty sure it's 6 inches.
Has to be pretty close to him.
And they're not impassable. They're just rough terrain.
Yep.
So
Just
literally,
like any other tree on the board.
There was a game where there was an objective in the middle. It was not seize the prize, but it was something similar. I just won't explain it because it was complicated. It was at our tournament.
It's a good example, though.
There was an objective in the middle. I ran my little Alatar up, and I was fighting a Rohan army, so they were all cav, and I was just like, trees in front of the thing.
Landed on the objective, planted trees in front of him,
and
just as a wall so that he wouldn't get charged as easily.
Suddenly, cav have to go quarter speed through these trees.
Or go around the trees.
And no charge bonuses. And I'm just like, happy day.
Rule that fits the character of the character that you've chosen. Alatar, his name means forest spreader, so we added a special rule that relates to spreading the forest. It kind of fits, makes sense. So whatever you do, if you're going to add special rules, make sure they fit with the lore.
Yep.
They shouldn't be crazy rules. They should be appropriate to the character.
Second thing is to make sure they're not utterly busted.
Well, yes, I was just going to say test your rule. Make sure that it makes sense. So I'll give another example. Last time we did this competition, the Spirit Bane rule, because I don't want to give you too many new examples. I don't want to feed the ideas. We want you to come up with your own ideas. But the Spirit Bane rule, we thought long and hard about it. How could we make Glorfindel be able to fight a Balrog without just so totally overpowering Glorfindel that he trashes everything in the whole game? It's got to be a rule that is specific to the Balrog, which is a big demon from the ancient world. So let's make a demon rule. Hang on, they already have that. Let's call it Spirit Bane. So anytime you can build off of what's already in the game, use the stuff that GW has given us, that's the best way to do this. And those guys have worked hard on those rules. All credit to the rules team. They really have worked hard on the rules. So build off the rules that are there.
Exactly. And if you're a nerd that wants to waste their life on this, which I do occasionally from time to time.
Not that we all might have that in
never.
common.
Absolutely not. I'm going to flex because I can. I went ahead and actually wrote like a rules supplement for the Silmarillion.
Had a lot of fun with that one.
I'm not going to do anything
No,
with
we
it.
haven't gone through that to share it, and we're not going to. There's way too many profiles to share here, but we may see some scenarios.
And it needs to be revamped because I have more knowledge now.
Well, and the rules have been updated since then. You have to fix the whole thing.
But straight up.
So, special rules, also spells. You have to choose if your character is a magic user or not.
Yep.
Use the rest of the game as your inspiration for that, but you have to choose. And then you've got a whole library of spells in the books that you can pull from. If you want to create a new spell, we'll challenge you to be very, very careful how you do that.
General rule of thumb, there are actually spells in the rules book that currently no characters in the game have. So you can just go that route.
Pull some stuff
I don't even know why those spells exist.
It should fit the lore. Whatever you do, again, this is all about making a character that fits in the lore but doesn't exist in the game. So pull your story from the lore, try to build it as best you can right out of the lore. And then use the book. I mean, if you want to put a quote from the book or a reference to the book in your profile, that'll absolutely strengthen our ability and the judge's ability to understand your logic when you make a special rule out of that.
Yeah, if you use special rules, there actually is a place where you can explain the lore behind the rule and then what the rule actually does.
Yeah.
A good idea is to stick a quote in the explanation of the lore, or just have your whole explanation be a quote or whatever.
In the forum, we also give you a link to the online LOTR wiki, which is a great site. If you want to do quick searches for things and you remember a character, but you can't figure out where he was buried in the Silmarillion because it's a big book, there's a lot of stuff in there, do some searches. And the link is on our forum, so you can pull that. Then you got to think about war gear.
Yep.
There's tons of war gear in this game. So use the Battle Company's manual if you want some ideas for war gear. There's lots of great ideas in there. And there's good ideas in there for the point costing of the war gear. Because after you've thought about your profile, your war gear, your special rules, your spells or no spells.
Once you make your dude, he needs to have a stat line.
And then you got to get a point cost. So there's a place on the forum where we ask you to take an example character from the game and then up and down and adjust his points cost. Use the Battle Company's game to tell yourself how to change the points cost. It's about 5 points a special rule, unless it's a really good special rule. It's about 5 to 10 points per item on his stat line. War gear varies.
Typically it's 5 per regular item. And
Excuse me, depends on whether it's infantry or a hero. You might want to talk about infantry. Okay, so that's important.
1 point no matter what, typically for standard stats for infantry, 2 for attacks, and you never see a 2-wound infantry except half trolls.
And then you get into the heroes and it's a whole different game. So use the Battle Company's manual as a guide because it's a beautiful guide for this and it'll give you a ton of tools to work with. But pick a profile you can build from. Most of the game is built off of the Rohan infantry as a base, the base man Rohan infantry.
Yep.
And if you're building a dwarf, use the dwarfs as your base. If you're building an elf, if you're building an orc, pick the race that makes sense and grab an example to build from. Tell us what the example is in the forum.
Yep.
There's a spot for that.
So I'll take an example, again, going back to my Glorfindel. So for my Glorfindel, to find his point value, what I did is this is ages ago, I compared him to the old Gilgalad. I compared him to Megalus because, yes, Megalus existed back then. This is how old that was.
This is before Legolas got updated.
This is before Legolas got nerfed into the dust.
He used to be a superpowered character. Now he's much more reasonable.
Okay, this is a tangent.
Short.
No, I'm done the tangent. I was just saying that was a tangent.
Okay.
So I compared him to Gilgalad, I compared him to Megalus, I compared him to himself, to Glorfindel, and I compared
the actual Glorfindel profile.
Yeah, and then I compared him to a High Elf captain.
That was a nice one, actually, because it was really easy to say. There's already a Glorfindel profile, so whatever he's done to this Glorfindel adaptation should clearly build on the profile that's in the game. And then he used all those other comparisons to justify it. If he's going to buff up the existing Glorfindel and change him somehow, the change has to weigh appropriately to these other characters. So let's put some big other elf heroes beside him, the High Elf Captain and the Gilgalad, and sort of spread the gambit and show here's the way that the elf heroes seem to work in the game. Therefore, this adder that he's put on top of Glorfindel sort of looks like it's about so many points.
And what I did is I calculated his point cost according to all those other profiles, what he should be, and then took the average of those and made that his point value.
So on the forum,
rounding to the nearest 5, because that's what GW does.
On the forum, there's 3 blanks we ask you to fill in. One says, what other GW profiles did you use as references?
Yep.
Just write them in there. One says, give us a description of how you made your profile, what your logic was behind the ideas that you included. Just describe it the best you can. The next one after that says description of how you set the point value.
Yep.
And we give you another link in there too to Jonathan Baker's version of Battle Companies, because the GW Battle Companies book and Jonathan Baker's Battle Companies program, they have some different ideas, and honestly we think both are pretty valuable and pretty useful. So you may want to look at both. So we gave you the web link for Jonathan Baker's because not a lot of people will know where to find that, and it's defunct now. It's a good legacy resource. And you've got the GW book already. You can get that off of the website.
Yep.
So you can get that from GW Direct. So you've got those 2 resources. Last box, what faction does your model belong to?
Kind of important.
Yep. And is it a hero? What tier? Check some boxes.
Yep.
And if it's a hero, we give you some check boxes to say which heroics it has.
Because that's the thing now.
And if you didn't already know, every hero is going to get heroic move, heroic shoot, and heroic combat. So those are grayed out. You just get those.
Unless for whatever reason you have a very good reason for your hero to not have those heroics.
Which you'd have to explain, because every hero in the GW game gets those. So you get those. But then you got to choose between the rest of them: heroic channeling, heroic march, heroic resolve, heroic accuracy, heroic challenge, defense, strength, and strike. And if I missed something, then check the GW manuals. It's all in there. So we give you check boxes for those. The last thing on the form is, actually there's 2 last things. One of the last things is picture. If you create, okay, for Mega Brownie points, make a conversion and take a picture.
Do it.
Stick it in there. We love that. It's just so much fun. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You don't have to do that. Really, we're not giving you very, very long.
Or something.
This competition wraps up in April. We need to have all the submissions back so the judges can go through them. So you've only got to the end of March.
Which is
not a lot of time.
And it's not. We're sorry.
For some people, it might be lots for you. It's not lots for me. So
I
we
have
love
like
it.
1.5 million profiles right now.
We love it if you made a conversion, but you don't have to. If you want to Google and find some pictures that support your profile, just any kind of a visual to help support your profile really does help. Picture's worth 1,000 words. It'll give us the idea of what you're describing. Makes it a lot easier for everyone. So please put a picture in. A good example, we once got a profile in the last competition for horns. Somebody looked up online, found some pictures of horns, and included that. It was great. Very, very helpful. Last is a waiver of intellectual property, because we're going to submit these to GW.
Yes.
So if you want your profile submitted to GW, GW is super paranoid about intellectual property on this, as they should be. They're very protective. If you send them ideas, they will not use them, and they put it on their blacklist. So we're going to put a waiver on here that you'll read it when you see the form. If you're not comfortable signing it, we just won't send your stuff to GW.
Yep.
If you want your stuff to be considered by them, you got to sign the waiver so that they have intellectual property rights to the profile, because they won't touch it unless it's theirs. So you got to literally give it to them. And if they own it and you cannot ever come back on them and tell them they need to give you commissions or give you free models, or you can't do that. If you want this to be considered by them, it's got to be their property. And I can't promise they're going to consider it. I'm sorry, but we're going to try. We'll send it to them. When we send it to them, they probably won't even say thank you. They're busy and they get a ton of mail.
Yep.
But if it shows up in an adapted version, in a future version of some release related to the game, we'll all be excited and we'll cheer for you. So if you sign the waiver, we'll include it. If you don't sign the waiver, no pressure. We just won't include it, and that'll be fine. So that's on the bottom of the form. Then there's a little bit of stuff in there to give you some guidance on what the judges are looking for.
Yep.
Just a couple of points, just so you kind of know what the judges are going to judge you on.
That's how you fill out a form. How does the competition actually work?
Yeah.
Well, you submit all your profiles before April. We send them off to the judges. They're going to give us a list of their top 10. Now, this is going to be unanimously decided between the group of them. And those top 10 will be voted on at the actual tournament.
Yes. So 2 layers in this thing.
Yep.
Our judges are going to get copies of these profiles to use in their videos, to make their own conversions, to brag about you and about your great ideas, and to just have fun with the hobby, with their video channels online, because that's just cool.
Yep.
The top 10 that they select as a group come back to our event if you're in Ontario, physically present at the event. Sorry, anybody who wants to. I mean, you're welcome to join if you don't live in Ontario. We'll definitely take your stuff and be excited about it, and share that with our judges and everybody. But we won't give you the prize. Sorry, you have to be physically present at the event to get the prize. And there will be voting. We're going to print and post your profiles on the wall. People are going to be at it. There's going to be over 300 gamers at this event, from a whole variety of different games. So we're going to boast about how Middle Earth is by far the best game, and we're going to have lots of other people walking by, and random people who go through are going to see your profiles and vote on them. And the person who gets the most votes as the most attractive and exciting profile to the random people who walk through, including all of our Middle Earth gamers that weekend, one of them is going to walk away with the prize. So we are very excited about that.
Yes.
You forget what I'm asking you.
No, what do you...
What's the prize?
Oh, the prize. Oh, yes. I'm just like, what are you trying to signal me for? Well, whoever wins, in no words at all, you're going to get your model.
It's pretty cool.
Desktop Hero Mini Maker sponsored our profile competition.
Yep.
You will literally get a physical copy of your model.
Now, it'll be built with their online custom system.
Yes.
So if you want to go take a look at their website, you'll see they've got this really cool system where you can
sweet.
Pick a race, you pick some weapons and some gear, you pick some posing, and you make a custom.
Takes a little bit
character
to figure it out, but
it's
you can
pretty
literally
wild.
make whatever you want. I've got dozens of tabs
there are limits
open right now.
Yeah, no, there are limits, and you can't make whatever you want, but you can make an awful lot of stuff. So worst case, if you can't make your model, make something cool that you like.
I was this close to blowing $200 on making characters for a custom campaign.
Very cool site. So we're very excited. Thanks so much, Desktop Hero Mini Maker, for sponsoring this competition, and we are so proud to have you guys on board. Thank you for our judges, Lachlan and Jeremy and Devin. Really proud of you guys, and really proud to have you guys behind us. Thanks for your support. And I hope you guys have a lot of fun when you get this pile of great ideas that's going to come in.
Oh, yeah.
All of the rest of you watching this video, look on the OSBGL website. We will give you the link. You can download the form. You can download the Blue Wizard examples.
That'll also be in the event page.
Yep, also be in the event page. And have some fun. We're actually going to set up a special event page. We have event pages for the Council of the Wise singles and doubles tournament. We're going to set up a separate event page for the Heroes competition. Excuse me, it's not a Heroes competition. It's a custom profile competition. You could do an infantry if you wish. Just make them cool.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
There's some really cool options there. There's a ton of stuff in the lore, and there's whole books that people haven't even touched.
Now, general rule of thumb: heroes are generally more fancy, and everybody's more like, "Ooh, that's cool," because infantry generally are just a stat line with no special rules, because infantry don't have special rules in this game.
Most don't. Some do.
Well, those that do are usually overpowered. Anyway, we're not getting into that. But heroes are just a safe bet. Honestly, if you're shooting to win this competition, I would highly recommend you choose a hero. But that's just me.
That's kind of fun. So the one that I did that I'm going to have to update, and now you're going to hear this, so you can't do it. It's my idea. Thank you. If you look through the lore, there are only 2 named Woz's warriors. I played Woz's as my army for a long time.
Yep.
The rules have been updated a couple of times since then. They don't work as well as they used to.
Rest in peace, Woz's.
But there were 2 named, and only 2 named Woz's. One is Gonburigon. He's in the game. One is Agon. He's not. Agon the healer has a cool story. So I made a custom Agon.
He's got 4 pages.
No, it wasn't that much. It's about a page and a half.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
No, I thought it was longer than that.
Page and a half. Yeah.
In
so
the
Agon's
appendix.
thing, he's in the where is he? He's in the appendix of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He's on the end of book 3.
Yeah.
After the
Which, by the way, if you haven't read
King.
the Lord of the Rings appendix, please
It's a good read.
do. There's actually stuff to read in there. It's not just terminology.
Really short. There's a paragraph on him. There's really actually that's not true. There's a couple of pages of his story. There's a paragraph on him, and then there's a couple pages of his story he goes through. And he is called away from this place he's living to go and be a healer and heal somebody who he's related to, who he's really worried about. He's very sick, so he goes to help him. While he's gone, he leaves a statue of himself behind.
Because Woz's do that.
Because they do that.
They carve
statues.
statues.
Are an ancient race. A lot of the people don't know this. Roses are an ancient race. They used to live in Beleriand with the ancient elven races of Beleriand.
Which, for those of you nerds who don't know what Beleriand is, one,
you gotta read
shame.
It's totally
2,
good.
it's the continent that no longer exists.
It's the rest of Middle Earth. It was big and it's gone. So they lived in Beleriand. They are one of the few, maybe the only races that survived the wrath on Beleriand. A lot of the other elves. Anyway, long story. So they came from Beleriand. They were allies to the elves. They were faithful to the Eldar. They're some of the Aedaean. They're kind of like the Númenóreans. They're some of the good people from that age.
Númenóreans made mistakes later.
Largely been hunted to extinction since that time. But at that time, they were horribly feared. The reason that they have the hate orc folk rule is because they hated orc folk, and they were terribly feared.
Yeah.
And they were terribly effective.
Fight 3, strength 3.
It just doesn't cut it. If there's one profile in the game that Woz's are just off. But they're a tough one to make on because they didn't wear armor. So I don't know what you would do with it. Honestly, I get it. There are lots of challenges trying to write good rules. Gandalf, how do you write a profile for Gandalf? The guys who have written the rules in this game have worked hard. I totally support them. Woz's are one of these many things where in the lore, they were just the terror and the bane of anything orc folk. To the point that they would build statues. Leave a statue in the woods, and that was enough. Orcs wouldn't go anywhere near it.
Because
to the point
they would meditate.
Oh, don't go there yet. To the point that the elves asked them to build more statues, and the elves paid and commissioned statues to put in elven territory because the statue of these guys was more fearsome than the elves doing patrols. And the statues worked and kept these guys away. So in this one story about Agon, it's a particularly cool story where he has built one of these statues because he has to go away to help his brother. He's been living with a human family who he's grown to love. He treats them as his own family. They have accepted him as one of theirs. They're very much they're good to each other, and they're not blood kin, but they're kin. But he's worried about them. There have been raids in the area, and it's been bad. So he builds a statue of himself first before he goes away. And they are known to meditate for sometimes days on end. Another story for another video. He leaves his hand on this statue and then stands there, staring quietly at the statue with his eyes closed. He's doing this meditating thing. And the family that he's grown to call his family is sort of watching him, wondering what he's doing. And he stands there for a very long time, and they just respectfully wait. And when he's done, he turns to them and says, "There, I've left some of my power in this statue. what does that mean? And then he goes. He takes off to go and heal people. Later that night, orcs come and raid the property. They use some kind of a wicked tar. The family is trapped inside the house. They use this tar to light stuff on fire, and it's freaky scary, and the family's expecting that they're all going to be dead. Somewhere, out of nowhere, this guy that looks like their friend Agon comes running through the woods and tromps and trashes all of these orcs, kills them all. The next morning they wake up, the statue is sitting on top of one of these dead orcs. It has moved. It is sitting on top of one of these dead orcs, and it has a burned foot from stomping out fire. They watched the guy last night stomp out the fire. They did not realize it was the statue. So somehow Agon was able to animate the statue. And when he came back later, like days later, the statue has a burned foot. The statue is now sitting on top of the dead orc. They didn't move it. It was a big stone statue. They couldn't move it. When he came back, he had his own foot bandaged. In the same way that the statue had been burned, Agon had been burned. So there was some kind of an interesting connection. When he said he left his power in the statue then defended the family. It was really... There are things about the Wozes that Tolkien only just began to tell us that we don't... Anyway, so I came up with a fun profile for Agon.
It's cool.
Had to work really hard to balance it.
It's not overpowered.
It was tough. I gave him a cool ability to build statues and use them, but he's vulnerable to what happens to the statues. It was fun. It was a really cool innovation. So anyway, I'll make that available in the competition. If you like it, you can vote for me if you're local. If you don't, I won't be offended at all. There's a lot of good ideas that came out last time. I'm hoping there's good ideas that come out this time. If you're looking for ideas, dig around in the LOTR wiki site. There's a ton of great stuff there. Look in any of the other LOTR lore or Hobbit lore. The Middle Earth world is huge. There's so much to pull from. So pull the books out, pull the appendices out, have some fun. Tell us about characters that you think are missing in the game. We will be really happy to read on them. Anything else you want to say?
I think we basically covered all the bases.
Competition's coming up fast. The profiles are due March 31st. Yeah, so coronavirus happened.
Yeah.
We had this video ready to go, and we were going to post it, but it says dates that are completely irrelevant and not helpful to anyone right now. So yeah. We were going to say the competition was going to get judged during April for our April event,
which
has been rescheduled to October 3rd and 4th. So that's the big date. October 3rd and 4th weekend of Ragnarok. The Ragnarok conference in Canada is where we will host the Council of the Wise tournament. That's the culmination of the custom profile competition.
Yes.
We are going to display the top 10 there as voted by the judges, and we're going to let all the sort of public who come through the convention vote on their top favorite for the prize. So that'll be very cool and a great way to show off your ideas and a really fun way to show the hobby off to people who are not Middle Earth players. So that'll be special. I'm excited about that. But the judges need some time to judge. So that's September. So end of August. August 31st, Labor Day weekend is when this whole thing wraps up. Final submissions would be due basically at Nova if you're in North America. Nova is going to be the end of the competition. And then we will have September for the judges to go through whatever we give them, which means we've got a few months to get lots of great ideas. So maximum 2 entries per person. I don't think we said that yet in the video.
No,
right?
I'm pretty sure we did.
Maximum 2.
I don't know. I can go back and check.
And I'm hoping we'll get a book of like really fun ideas that we will be able to publish and share with all of you guys later. We'll give them to the judges. We'll go from there. And in the forum, I think we said this, but there's a waiver. If you want Games Workshop to consider your ideas, you got to sign a waiver.
As previously mentioned in the same video. This will be the same
So if we pile up a little book of these things and we can give them to GW with all the waivers signed, I would be a very happy person. I can't speak on behalf of GW, but it'd be pretty awesome if they could get some good ideas out of this.
Yep.
But they have to be covered by waiver, otherwise they will never be able to consider them. So anyway, but the judges will have fun, and we'll see some conversions, I'm sure, and we'll have some good stories to talk about in video later. You have all quarantine and all summer to be able to come up with great ideas. We're giving you lots and lots of notice. So step it up, guys. Let's see some great ideas come out of this. And hopefully we'll be able to show them off in the fall.
Indeed.
You know what you're working on yet?
What? No, I'm not saying anything on camera. I'm not saying nothing on camera.
I mentioned my Agon. I don't get very much options because I'm basically running the competition so he can participate.
But I will say I have like a full directory in my drive of ideas from the Silmarillion.
Gotta pick only 2.
Yeah.
I have friends who I know are going to watch this. You get 2. You can't put 20 of them in. So pick your 2, your favorite. Yeah, this would be a lot of fun. I would love to see some stuff that actually might be good fodder for Amazon too. The guys that are working on the upcoming Second Age series, there's tons of room in the Second Age to think about heroes that you might want to see in this game. So let's have some fun. Thanks so much for watching. Final thoughts? Coronavirus sucks.
Well, yes,
but let's make the best of it.
Does suck, but you have lots of time to mess around with your little plastic toy soldiers and write awesome profiles.
And make conversions and tell good stories. And go for it. Have fun. We are excited to see what you come up with.
Or if you're a teenage nerd, you have campaign sessions via Discord. Woo!
Campaigning with custom profiles. There's time. All right, have a great summer. So sorry that coronavirus is affecting everything, but hopefully you're safe and well wherever you are. Take care of your loved ones. Enjoy the quarantine. There's good reasons behind all this stuff. Those of you who are in the medical profession, thank you for your public service. Shadow and Flame, just one of many people we deeply respect in the emergency response units around all these different countries that we are blessed to be part of here. This is a crazy network. It's such an international network. Very cool to be part of this hobby. So thank you. Those of you who are in the emergency response services, thank you for your public service. Be well. Michael Vannon, and we will see you with some great ideas soon.